Hello, hello, everyone. We are the Gratitude Girls.
The Gratitude Girls are in the house. Hello, Lori. How are you?
I'm wonderful. How are you?
I'm really good. I'm really hot. I have these amazing Botswana crystals on today, and they're just elevating my body temperature. It's really something. We'll talk about that later. So I'm really excited about tonight. There for so many reasons. First of all, it's our Gratitude Girls night, and that's almost every night. But when we have our show, it really does something. It overtakes the whole day. Everything is about what's going to happen later tonight. So I was thinking that since we have this amazing, awesome guest, and this is the first time that we had her here, maybe we could tell our new audience and our new guest a little bit about what are we doing here doing the Gratitude Girls show? And are we doing this for 13 or 14 years now? Like, tell me, is that where we're at?
Yes, we are. What are we in? 2023 was our 10th year. So we are in our 11th year, right?
Yes. Yes. Amazing. It's really amazing. So let's talk a little bit about, why are we the Gratitude Girls and what made that the thing that we chose to do and keep doing year after year after year.
Yeah, well, of course, we attract what we want, right? So that's the main reason. But so Catherine and I are both in a direct sales company, and at our company, our international convention, they always have a theme for each year. And back in 2013, the theme was gratitude. And so there was an award winner picked by their peers. So by all the customers and distributors in the company, they voted for who they thought exuded the most gratitude. And so our CEO gets up on stage. He talks about talks about a person he's going to announce and gives all different accolades and attributes about the person, and then calls Catherine up on stage. So me being the person I'm in the back with my camera and my video and doing all my techie stuff. And then all of a sudden our CEO says, for the very first time ever, we have a tie. And so we're going to announce to you who the other person is. And so the same thing, he kind of hem-haws around and tells little hints and little details about the person. And then all of a sudden he calls my name. And so Catherine and I literally met on stage in front of thousands of people. And since it was the gratitude theme, and we both very quickly became like total besties and decided that we both knew that nothing just happens for coincidence. There's always a reason. And literally, like 2 minutes flat, Gratitude Girls was born. We didn't know what we were going to do with it at the time, but we knew we were going to do something. And now here we are with the show going on our 11th year and several years of coaching and training and speaking events and corporate sales training events and a book. And who knows what's next?
Well, we do know there's a lot that's coming up. Lori, I want to speak to that moment when my name was called and I went up. I remember my knees were shaking a little bit. I was excited. I was very honored. And when I heard your name, you don't say this because you're so humble. Lori was granted and recognized for giving the most gifts in our entire company. Now, I don't know that I know of any other company that gave that to anyone. So when I saw Lori, I had already been thinking about who is that person that gives all these gifts. And when I saw her, I thought, I'm going to get to meet her. Oh my gosh, here she is. Oh my, we actually like grabbed hands on the way down the stairs after we met on stage. And minutes after we met, what do you think Lori does? She gives me a gift. And I have that gift within my peripheral vision right now. And I always keep it with me. That's a long time. I wonder if I have to wash that thing. But that was, pardon me, an amazing gift. And that moment really resonated with me and how we decided that we were going to, it was like going into space. We sort of held hands and said, we're doing this. What are we doing? We're doing this. This is a great way for people to share gratitude. And we've heard some amazing stories. And tonight is no different. We have the opportunity to listen to people's stories, to open up a platform for first-time stories to ever be told, and for things to be born and reborn. Actually, we've had couples sing, we've had amazing things happen. But tonight we have a special guest, and I would like to have the honor to announce my really good friend. And something else, we share the same birthday, Lori. Can you believe that? We both share the same birthday. So this is Robbie Spier Miller with us tonight. Robbie is a human performance expert and hypnotic. Robbie consults individuals, entrepreneurs, small businesses, and corporations to help them cut through the clutter and achieve more success than they ever imagined possible. Robbie is the director of Hypnosis Training Canada. She teaches the art of hypnosis to people who want to excel in personal mastery, communication, relationships, public speaking, and sales. Robbie mentors hypnotics to help.
Hypnotists.
Oh, yes, of course. Hypnotists. Yes, that is correct, because that would be something completely different. She mentors hypnotists to help. I have a new business for you now, Robbie. She mentors is to help them build thriving hypnosis clinics. If you're looking for a proven professional that can help you learn how to escape wasting valuable time, wasting money and energy, then Robbie is it. I'll read a little bit about Robbie is looking forward to enjoy the benefits of Robbie's soon to be released online learning course on resilience. On a personal note, I read that to make sure that I didn't miss anything. But on a personal note, what's really not to be missed is when you meet someone who has a smile like Robbie has, an open heart, vigor, and really thrives on having fun and the best outcomes for other people. When you're in her presence, you really feel that. And I'm honored to be able to hang out with Robbie because we live in the same province in Canada and we get to hang out at Verity. So Robbie, I want to thank you so much for being our guest tonight. Welcome to Gratitude Girls. We're so thrilled that you're here.
Thank you. It's great to be here. And what a beautiful introduction.
Even with my new advanced way of speaking about hypnotists. Right? I think I was thinking of You know what I was thinking of, Robbie?
What?
Remember that blue birthday?
Hypnotic. Yeah. The liquor. Yeah.
I was thinking of our birthday hypnotic. Yeah. So thank you so much for that. So tell us a little bit about, are we going to be experiencing any hypnotic experience tonight while we're here with you? Are we going to be feeling that? Does that just happen when we're around you?
Well, it can. Let's see where it goes.
Okay.
This could be all kinds of things.
All right. Well, to our audience, let's put a disclaimer. You will not be waving a chicken over your head. You will not be closing your eyes or doing anything that you don't want to do. Talk about what hypnotic senses are, because someone might think, oh, I know what that is. I know what a hypnotist is, and they may not know it all. So can you just clear that up right from the beginning?
Sure. Yeah. So we all experience hypnosis-like states in our lives. It's a natural human ability, just like we breathe. We experience hypnosis and we go in and out of hypnotic states all the time. So an example would be if you're watching a movie and you laugh when it's funny, or you find your mood change, or you cry when it's sad. You're responding to emotional suggestion, and that's a hypnosis-like state.
Mhm.
right? Um, Another example is if you think of a commercial maybe that you remember from being a kid. So I can date myself, and if you're at least over the age of 45, you'll remember the commercial that goes plop, plop, fizz, fizz. Oh, what a relief it is. And that ad hasn't been on the air probably for about 4 decades, but people still remember that. So advertisers have spent billions of dollars researching what helps people make decisions, and that is what helps people make decisions. So my passion with this is to show people that they can learn how to use that natural ability they have to help them get more of what they want in their life. Because if we don't learn how to use it ourselves, then the world around us is going to hypnotize us in different directions that may not fit what we really want. Or we might be caught in hypnotic trances that were established when we were really young and that aren't working for us anymore. So it really gives people choices. And that originally I started to do this for myself, to help myself with some challenges I was having. So it helped me discover, hey, I can do things a different way. I can have more choices. I can be free of, being stuck in old stuff that wasn't helping me.
So, Robbie, when sometimes we're driving and we're thinking, how did I get here? I was over there a few minutes ago. I'm here already. That's a hypnotic state.
That's
How does
right.
that happen? And is that dangerous?
Well, it's actually pretty amazing that your subconscious mind can take care of you. So how it works is that when we're learning something new, we need to pay more attention. And once we've done this a number of times, we have like a super highway in our mind. It's called a neural pathway that helps us just automatically know what to do. So once we've driven enough times and we've driven a route enough times, then we're freed up to do other things. So that it's a powerful thing that we can do as humans, because imagine having to pay attention to every little action you take all day long. It would be exhausting. You wouldn't be able to do as many things. Right. So that's one example of how hypnosis can help us. But I think it's pretty amazing that we can be listening to music or talking on our Bluetooth or sipping a coffee or daydreaming. And then we end up in our driveway and don't even remember how we got there because our subconscious mind knows.
So, what about the times when we're listening to a presentation and we're like, maybe we're getting a little bored and we
Mhm.
tune out, we don't tune in? Are we doing something to ourselves in order to survive that moment?
Yes, we are. Yes. Yep, and boredom is a cue to go find something else to do, right? So our minds will do that automatically, and when you are in hypnosis, sometimes you're really into it, really deep into hypnosis, and it's very natural that there are parts of it that you might get distracted, right? Or be not quite as into it. And then you get into it again. And in our everyday lives, we do that as well. So there's a level of that that's natural, but there are ways that we can use hypnotic techniques to keep attention. So if somebody is a speaker, it's really great to learn how to do that so that the audience is able to pay attention more.
Right. Well, I've been in your audience when you spoke at Verity and we were in the Sand, now Beatman room, and we did a few exercises. We don't have to do that now, but it would be really nice for people to understand. When we're speaking to our spouse or we're speaking to our partner and we're talking to someone, sometimes someone's voice just can't listen because it's just not landing in the right way. But is there a way for us to train ourselves when we speak to people that we love so that we could encourage them to lean in,
Mhm.
not by using a trick, but by using a technique?
Right, like how to create that connection with people. Yeah. So there are two things I'd suggest. And the first is to slow down and really take the time to be with the person because we're so busy with so many things throughout our day. So looking at the person in the eyes, right? And really having gratitude for all the things you appreciate about them and being in that zone is a really good place to start. And from there, it's really powerful to notice if you have a friend or family member, a romantic partner, or maybe somebody you work with. Notice how do they communicate? So some people tend to be more visual. So if we describe things in a visual way, then they're going to relate to that more. It's like we're speaking their language, or they might be more auditory or more kinesthetic, which means a feeling in their body. And often we might have a different dominant way of communicating or understanding the world around us, right? Or what we pay attention to. So the more you can convey your message in their language and their dominant, we call it a representational system, right? In their senses, then the more they're going to relate to what we're describing. So Rara, you know that I'm a foodie, right?
Yes.
So in hypnotic terms, there is a sense where it's olfactory, right? Sense of smell, and gustatory, sense of taste. So if you were to tell me a story and use a metaphor that involved food, right, or smell or taste, I would relate to that really well. And Rara, you're very visual, right? But you also are very into sense, like olfactory. So if I was telling you something, describing it in visual terms, right? Painting an amazing picture and adding a beautiful scent, it would stick with you more if I did it that way.
You're right. Like the beads making me hot and raising my body temperature. I recognize that and what that feels like. So I would tend to describe things using feelings.
Mhm.
It's really, that's really a nice note to take, sort of, I don't want to say a note to take note of, but something that we can be aware of when we're speaking to people. We might want to pay attention to that a little bit more.
Right.
Watch.
And the more of the senses you incorporate, the better, right? So if you incorporate all of them, then you'll hit on something that the person will relate to.
Right. That's really cool to know. Now, this is what you teach, right? This is what you do for a living. What about a day in the life of Robbie? What's that like? What do you
You should ask my students. Well, I would say that the primary focus is really helping people to see their hypnotic patterns that are either serving them and helping them use those patterns better, or in other categories of their life, or breaking out of old hypnotic trances that are hurting them. And often people aren't aware of them. So they know that they're struggling, or they're not getting where they want to go. But we talk about that sometimes when you're in the bottle, you can't read the label on the bottle. So a big part of my job is to be able to see where people are stuck and show them that, and then help them discover a new way of doing things. And for them to learn how to do that in real time, because when they are with me, they can discover that change. The power comes when they can bring it into their real life, and especially when they're going through challenging situations, which I will talk about more when you finally ask me about gratitude.
Lori's going to do that. I know Lori has some questions for you. Right, Lori?
Yes. Yes. I didn't know if that was my cue to jump on. So yes, of course, yeah. I want to know, definitely, like, we all have like gratitude stories, right? We all have things that we're grateful and thankful for that we talk about every day, and that we're, the general, our spouse or our partner, our kids, our house, our car, blah, 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 right? But, and of course, we can't ever say that, if we tell a story, like, you don't want to not, talk about someone else or whatever, right? So because we have hundreds, we have thousands. But if you could just pick just one to share with everybody in the world, all our listeners, then tell us just a little gratitude story, something that you're grateful and thankful for, and the story behind that, if you'll share that with us.
Okay, sure. So when I was probably around 27, 26, 27 years old, I had a very good friend who had been diagnosed with a brain tumor, and the doctors gave him a year to live. And it was a big shock to little 27-year-old me because, when you're that age, you think you're going to live forever. And so as that happened to him and I saw him go through that, it made me look at my life and realize, whoa, I'm really not living my life the way I need to. I was in a lot of just stuckness, right? Self pity or running around in the same circle over and over. And I wasn't really moving forward in the ways I wanted to. And at the same time, I saw how my friend went through this period of his life and he ended up living, the doctors gave him a year to live. I think he lived 2 or 3 years. And as that unfolded, and in the meantime, I was living in Boston at the time, and then I moved back to Toronto. So he was in Boston, and he would come visit every now and again, or I'd go visit him. And so I saw how he managed, not being able to work anymore, participating all of these clinical trials to see if somebody could cure him, what he did with his time, what happened to his relationships as this unfolded. And the inspiring thing was that I saw him handle this really awful, right? Like one of the most awful things you could go through situation in this really amazing way where he found ways to make the most of his situation. So when he couldn't work anymore, he had been a journalist. And when he couldn't work anymore, he started to take up photography and he did this photography at an exhibit at a local cafe. I remember him coming to visit me in Toronto, and he was here literally for 24 hours, and we did a ton of things in those 24 hours to see the city, right? And he was a foodie too, so he had been a food journalist, and when he was here, we went to one of the amazing restaurants in Toronto, and so he was striking up a conversation with the chef about the souffle and really passionate about that. And so it was very inspiring to me to see how he would make the most of any situation. And he had been like this before he got sick. From the whole time I knew him, he managed to create things and make things happen. And so it made me realize I could live that way too, no matter what's going on. And it really inspired me to have the courage to break out of my hypnotic trances that were hurting me and find a way to do that. And that's why I do that for others as well, to help them do that. Because I figure, hey, we're here. We may as well make the most of being here. So that he's really been a big inspiration for me in my life.
Very good. That's an amazing story.
There's a good reason and a purpose to continue to move forward and help people. And look what you've done. You've not only done it for yourself, but you teach people to teach people.
That's right. Yes. Yeah. So I can help even more people that way.
That's amazing. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. We have a part in our show that we like to pass the mic over to you. And since I believe you're no stranger to hosting, we'd like to give you the opportunity, unrehearsed, to our audience, to ask us a question. Just let us know who the question is for and what the question is, and we would be happy to answer it for you.
Okay. So I'm going to ask the question to Lori because I just met Lori tonight. So I'm curious to learn more about you, Lori. So as I was preparing for tonight, I was reflecting on the everyday things I'm grateful for, the little everyday things, and then the bigger picture things like the story that I told you. So I'm curious about what are the everyday things that really stand out for you that make you feel grateful in your life.
Hmm. Well, let's see. So the everyday things, the biggest thing right now in my life is my grandson. I get to babysit him 4 days a week. And so I haven't woke up to an alarm clock since 1993 when I retired and started my own company. And when he's 17 months now. And so, but I watch him for my son and his wife. And so that way he's in massage school and she works. And so I help out that way where I can. And so I'm very grateful that I can have such a huge part in his life. So that is huge. And then and very thankful that I found him. It'll be 3 years actually this coming month, after being widowed for several years. And when I didn't think I was ever gonna go into that space again. Surprise, I met somebody. But and then, and then just like being able to do stuff like this, where I worked for myself. This is my 30th anniversary of being in business in myself this year also, as well as it's our 10th anniversary in Gratitude Girls. And I get to fly up to Canada when I want to for my girlfriend's birthday, just because, and different things like that. So I love my life where it's, I've done things where I can do things and like that I just want to do it.
Wonderful. Yeah. So you'll be here for my birthday too.
That's right.
Yeah. Great.
Yeah, we will have to see what all Catherine wants to do for her birthday.
Okay, we'll come up with something. I know it. Still pondering on that. Robbie,
Yeah, so ever since I've met Catherine, I've discovered how to have a birthday season, not just a birthday. I'm grateful for that. It sure makes it more fun.
it's the gift that keeps giving.
Mhm.
If you have another question, go right ahead.
Okay. All right. So Rara, I'm going to ask you a question, which is, where do you find it more challenging to be grateful in your life?
Gee, I never thought of, grateful and challenging in the same moment. It doesn't sort of align for me to think of it like that, because I go to sleep and I wake up and I am grateful for the bugs that I don't like living in the country, for the foxes running around outside that I really don't like, not knowing where they are. I'm grateful for all the things that happen out there that I'm not really sure what it is. And I'm grateful that I get to experience it from the inside of the house. So if it would be the unknown nature surrounding me, which is what makes it so beautiful, it would be the things that nature provides, that sometimes I just sit by the window and I watch, and I'm grateful to see it. And I wonder sometimes, is that animal healthy? How is that? What can I do? How can I help that animal? Though I don't really love bugs, I'm not shy to say, can you please get rid of that thing? So I'm not grateful when I see the summer rolling in and these things flying around, but yet I know that without that, we don't have the beautiful flowers and the birds don't eat, and it's all necessary. So one of the things that reminds me of how I can be grateful, we always have a robin's nest, no matter what house we live in. We watch robins build a nest, and it's amazing that every house has the same thing. So nature brings itself to me, and I watch the process. And if you've never watched robins build a nest, come to my house, come to our house, because it's really quite amazing. The things in nature that happen that might just startle me once in a while are the things that I like to sit and watch and appreciate. Thank you for asking.
Yeah, cool. I want to see your robin's nest.
Oh yeah, they're beautiful. And then the robin's eggs, you can't touch them, right? Like you can't touch a robin's nest. So what happens when they start to build their nest is we no longer use our front door. Because if you go past it, then they might abandon the eggs or the chicks. So the birds, sorry. So as soon as they start building that nest, we don't go near that door.
Yeah.
It's like most of the summer, we don't go near that door. So we use the back door. So the robins tell us which way to go. They're the boss of us in this house. Thank you. Thank you for asking that. Lori, do you have any other questions for Robbie, her unique business that she has?
Yeah, so like So I know you kind of explained a little bit of what you do, but like, so if someone was wondering, like, how they, either how they get into that, or if they were thinking about getting a session from someone, you
Mhm.
know, what, like I know a lot of people, like Catherine kind of alluded to that earlier, but like I know a lot of people think, exactly that. Like, okay, am I going to go into a trance and then she's going to make me do something stupid that I didn't really want to do, right? And so, I know that like we don't do anything against our will, right? But so is there something like simple like that you could explain to the listeners that maybe have never had it done before, and just like what that experience would be like?
Yeah, sure. Well, when people go into hypnosis and they're willing to agree to have that experience. So, when we have clients who come to see us, they have an outcome. So, they're stuck in their life. Maybe they want to lose weight or stop smoking or manage stress or manage pain, right? Sometimes they're stuck in a fear, like a fear of public speaking, for example, or they're struggling in relationships. So when they come see us, they have an outcome they really want, and they're struggling with not having it. And so that helps because stage hypnosis shows are a lot of fun. I am a stage hypnotist and I do those shows, and it really shows you what we can do with our subconscious minds. Of course, you have to want to participate, but for people who do, they get into this amazing, deep level of relaxation, sometimes more than they've ever experienced in their whole life. And so, as people are willing to agree to do that, whether it's at a stage show or in a clinic setting or in a class where they're learning how to change themselves, they're discovering something new through opening their subconscious mind. Right. So, day to day, we're using our rational minds when we're interacting, and we often try to think things through or read a book to solve a problem. And I've seen many, many clients who are experts, for example, at how to, be healthy and fit. They might be nutritionists or doctors, and yet they still haven't been able to do it in their own life. So it's a way to communicate with the part of our mind that, tends to hold on to old ways of coping because our subconscious minds, if the primary job of your subconscious mind is to protect you from danger and help you survive. So anything that you've done in the past that has resulted in survival, which if you're still alive, it has, your subconscious will tend to want to repeat, but it doesn't mean that it's actually in your interest to keep doing that behavior. Right. And so when people have that experience, they are opening themselves to learning something new. And what it does is it gives them choices. So when they follow along and they're having the experience, they free themselves to have more choice in their life. So, an example, let's say somebody wants to lose weight. And, I hear lots of times that they can be on track with things all day long. And then at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, all of a sudden they want to eat lots of chocolate, for example, right? Or at nighttime, they're doing a lot of snacking. So, there's a subconscious reason they're doing that. There's a positive intention for it. Right? It might be because they're bored. It might be because they're feeling overwhelmed and they need to escape, right? Maybe they need to stimulate themselves to make it through the day. And so we look for what is that old behavior doing for them and how can we help them have that positive intention in some other way. But rationalizing about it doesn't do the job because our subconscious minds will hold on to old behaviors in the same reason we don't forget how to swim in the middle of the lake, right? So once we've learned something and we've done it over and over, our subconscious will hold on to it that way. So we have a lot of different hypnotic ways to help people loosen that kind of thing up and have new choices. And you gotta wanna, but how I look at it is if you don't learn how to use your subconscious mind skillfully, then it's operating anyway with less skill. So it's something that gives you choices and freedom. And embracing it that way really will enhance your life.
Hmm, very interesting.
You said something earlier, it is very interesting, about if we don't do this, then someone else could do it for us. So can you just speak about that for a bit?
Sure. Yeah. So we have hypnotists all over in our lives. It could be our romantic partner, right? It could be the TV programs or Netflix that we're watching, Hollywood, great at hypnotizing people, right? It could be our general culture, it could be our family of origin. So there are lots of different forces, right? When people watch TV and they see a commercial for a Big Mac and then all of a sudden they're hungry, they've been hypnotized into wanting to have a Big Mac. So these forces are happening all the time around us, and it's just part of being human. And there are lots of good things about it. If we have choices, then we can direct things. We can have more of the benefits, and we can minimize the drawbacks that might happen. So it's really a tool like any other tool, and we're learning how to use this tool to help us get what we want in our lives and minimize sabotage.
Thank you. That's very, very interesting. Is there an exercise that you would recommend to someone who wants to learn something about what you do? Maybe something they can do with you if they watch this podcast again and again, or something that we can do with ourselves?
Mhm. Yeah. So a really good, easy first thing to do is to go back to a time in your life where you really felt confident and in a really good zone. If you've ever played sports, you might know what it's like to be in the zone where you're responding to the world around you with just the right amount of tension and synced up with everything around you. Some people experience it through doing something creative, right? Or through relationships with other people. So if you can recall a time like that in your life and imagine it as if it's actually happening, and notice what you see and what you feel in your body and what you hear in your mind, and really step into that experience. So Rawaj, can you recall a time like that in your life?
Yes.
Hmm. Yeah.
When I got married the first time to my second husband.
Uh-huh. And what about you, Lori?
Yeah, I was just thinking of a time when I was speaking on stage to one of the biggest audiences I ever spoke to.
Mhm. Yeah, awesome. So as you recreate that, and often people find it helpful to just close their eyes, right? So that you're really focused on the senses of that resourceful experience that you had. And when you step into it and you recreate it for yourself, your mind actually doesn't know the difference between fantasy and reality on a subconscious level. So the more you visit that experience in all your senses, the more you can create it for yourself. And if you go to that experience and then move on with your day, you're going to bring that with you into your day. And that's a really good first easy thing that anybody can choose to do to
You know,
help.
sorry, I think I actually did that for 16 and a half years. When I said my second husband, I should have said my current husband. I remember going back and visiting that moment the entire time we were divorced.
Mhm.
I thought about it every single day, every single morning, every single night. I just brought myself right back to that moment.
Mhm. Right. And some people are really naturals at going to those positive times and positive experiences. And Rora, it sounds like you are a natural at it. It's something I've had to work out more, right? So some people are what we call towards pleasure people, which Rara, you definitely are, right? You're always seeking out what can I, how can I make life great? And then some people tend to be more away from pain, right? Where they're avoiding hassles or problems. Typically people will pay attention to problems more than positive things because paying attention to what to be afraid of or what to avoid keeps us safe, right? So, from a survival point of view, it's useful. So, most of the population will tend to be more away from pain, but it's very good to model being a towards pleasure person because in the world we live in now, we're really mostly safe. Right. We are lucky that we have a lot of comfort and safety and choices. And so it frees us up to be more towards pleasure and seeking out what we want. And so it's a really, I've had to train myself to do that more and more over the years because it's definitely not how I was raised or how I started out in life. So it's one of the reasons why I like hanging out with you, Rara.
Thank you. Yes, I'm right out there, right?
Yep.
It's like I cast a big net, right, Lori, when it comes to having fun. And I think that's one of the things that keeps me on my toes because it's a practice, right? It's a daily practice, and it's like anything else. You need to practice. Doesn't matter how good you are at something. The more
That's
you're
right.
it, right? The better,
Yeah.
the better it gets, or the better you feel.
And your mind's gonna do something, right? And really everything in life is obsession. And the man who coined the term hypnosis, his name was Dr. James Braid, and he regretted calling it hypnosis because hypnos it means sleep. And hypnosis is not sleep. So he wanted to rename it, but it was too late. But he wanted to rename it monoideism or a single idea or obsession. Right. So if we look at it that we tend to get obsessed with something, we grab onto something. Are we choosing wisely what we're obsessed with, or are we going back to old habits? Okay, so that would be a really good question for everybody to look at and say, what is occupying your senses, and where is your focus? And can you make a better choice so that your life is better? Because the more you focus on whatever you focus on, the more you get of it. So if you're focused on fearful things, you get more fear. If you're focused on what you want to create in your life, you're going to get more of that.
So true. If whoever's listening tonight, listen to this part again and again and again. You get what you focus on, and what you focus on is what you get. Oh, Robbie, aside from having the honor and the pleasure of being able to speak to you, this is a different, and yet a great conversation that we're having tonight. And I feel like we could have it for so much longer and go on about all these different ideas and questions that are coming up in my mind. But I invite our audience to ask those questions as they watch this show, and post questions to us. And we're going to share all the different ways that they can reach you. Before we do that, is there something that came up for you tonight that you would like to talk about or say that you hadn't planned on, but it just showed up?
Well, I'll say that Rara, the reason I asked you that question of what do you find challenging to be grateful about is because I have things that I find challenging to be grateful about. And so, it's interesting your view on that. But I would say that my challenges come in areas where I'm not wanting to accept the reality. So for you, when you see that there are bugs outside, right? And we need to have bugs. It's part of our ecosystem and it's a good thing. You're surrendering into that reality. And I'll tend to have things where that I, rail against, and I want to control. If I admit it, I want to control. So that's where my challenges are. So I get very grateful when I learn how to surrender into accepting them. That is not always easy for me. So it's, you're a really great role model for that.
Thank you. Thank you so much for saying that. It means a lot to me. And it's such an honor for us to have you on Gratitude Girls, and to have this candid conversation about something that's so important to absolutely everyone. Someone wants to reach you. We have all the details, but what's the best way? What do you like to do? How do you like to communicate with people?
So you can visit my website, which is hypnosistrainingcanada.com, and we offer group training experiences and also individual training experiences. And that could be for individuals We work with business owners and companies as well in groups. So the best thing to do is to go to the website. There is a podcast there as well, so you can learn a lot more about hypnosis and the kinds of things you can use it for in your life by listening to some podcast episodes. And so that would really be a great way to reach me. I'm also on all social media channels, so you can just do a search for Hypnosis Training Canada on all of your social media and find me there. And we also have a toll-free number, which is 800-971-5774. And during business hours, we have people answering the phone live. So if you prefer to book a free consultation that way, you can call as well. But there is a scheduling link on the website to book a free consultation. So how I work with people, whether you're going to do a one-on-one program, we're going to design a customized program for your group, or you want to participate in one of our many classes that we run throughout the year, we always start with a free consultation to see if it's a good fit for you and for us to define what your outcomes are. So that's really the place to start.
Well, thank you. And if anyone's in the Ontario, Toronto area, we could let them know how we can set up appointments for them to see you too, right? And attend some of your classes. So Robbie and I are in Ontario. Lori is in Tennessee. So if someone's watching the show and says, well, where exactly, this is a great international call. But if someone's in this, well, they can fly to you. They don't have to just be here, right? They can be anywhere and get to you.
We have people fly in from all over the world for classes, literally every continent. So it's really worthwhile if this was a good fit for you. So there are also options to attend classes online or to get custom training online as well. So, wherever you are, if this resonates with you and you would like to explore this further and see if it's a good fit, we can make that work. So
thank you.
These days we've got all kinds of
there are no limits to anything, right? There's no stops for that. Robbie, hang out with us. Thank you so much for all that you're giving and you're doing for the community and the communities around, and for being a really great friend and a great friend to both of us. Who do you get to share your birthday with that you get to say, look at that, we share the same birthday? And it looks like the three of us might be together around that day as well. So Lori, let's think about our audience, and they're watching and they're thinking, I want to be Robbie. I want to be on the show. I want to say this. I want to do that. Can you give a little insight as to how does someone hop on live with the Gratitude Girls?
Yes, absolutely. So first you have to watch this show, watch several of the shows. You can see all our recordings at gratitudegirls.com, and you can watch as many as you want there. We have, like I said, over 10 years of recordings every single month. We are here the fourth Tuesday night of every single month, 9:30 Eastern time. And if you want to be on the show, go to facebook.com/gratitudegirls. Make sure you like and follow the page there and add it to your interests. But then click send a message and send us a message there and let us know what your gratitude story is that you want to share with the world. And also make sure to leave us your contact information, for us to get back in touch with you the best way you want us to. And the same thing, follow us on all our social media, Lori Radecki and Catherine Asaro Myers, and subscribe to us, follow us, give us 5-star reviews, write a review, all those different things. And make sure you tune into us the fourth Tuesday night of every month.
Thank you for being here, Robbie. Thank you, Lori, and thank you to our audience.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night.